Hello everyone, Inauni, that is Hausa. I want to be greeting in the three major languages of Nigeria now, but I have to learn the Igbo. I know that the Yorubas will say Bawoni. I don't know if Igbo will say Indeo. I don't know, but at least my Igbo followers will correct me. Yes, correct me, please. So I want to explain this see-through fan, this transparent fan that is trending now. This fan, if well decorated, is very expensive, but then I am not going to be doing much of decoration since this is not an order. Do you understand? I'm not making it for anybody. I'm making it for the purpose of this video. So the first thing you have to get is the fan skeleton. So this fan skeleton is a very well, I don't know the right word to use, but then it's not a common one. Yes, it's not common to find. And then you can make your own, but again, it's not an easy task. So the easiest way to get this fan skeleton done is to go to artists, artists, people that do artwork. They have the saw they will use to be able to cut it for you, or if you then you can find in the market, but not everywhere in the market as well. So that is why for now it's not everywhere in the market, and if you find it in the market, it's not as cheap as the other ones. It's a little bit more expensive. Okay, so the fan skeleton is the major thing you need for this work. Once you can get the skeleton, 50% of the job is done. Then the next thing we are going to use is organza. This material I'm using is called organza. So this organza material is what we are going to use to cover the fan on both sides. Don't cover one side, you cover both sides, so it will not look like a drum or band. How do I call it? Band. Yes, so it's proper if you are going to manage your fabric to first of all cut the circle out, but then the organza I'm using now is a pieces. Let me just say it's a pieces. I've used it for some other work before. It's not really too useful anymore, but then it can do this work and even do more. So it's a pieces. That's why I'm not really bothered. If not, I would have folded the circle and measured the diameter and then cut it using the folded radius, but then I didn't do that. I just place it on the fan and cut. Now this part I'm doing is very important for this organza to be very tight on the fan, because it has no support except this round circle. You first of all put your glue on one side, allow it to dry, that will allow it to cool down, to be cold. So when it's cold, because if it's not cold and you go ahead to start pulling the other side, it will shift from the first side. So you have to ensure that the first part that you glue down is sitting properly and the hot glue is already cold on it, after which you just go ahead and then apply your glue round it again, or you can decide to apply it bit by bit. What I did now was that I just went ahead and applied the glue to the remaining part, and then I started pulling. You have to pull it very well. If you don't pull it very well, it's not going to be really tight. And the beauty of this fan is in the tightness and smoothness, not just tightness. So it has to be tight, it has to be smooth. So you have to be deliberate in your doing this part, knowing that it must be tight, and again it must be very smooth. You understand? Flawless. Make I speak oyibo for now. It has to be flawless, very smooth and smooth and shiny. So that's why you see the process I'm using. You see, so this one now is tight, but if peradventure when you did it you saw that some part is already cold and it's not smooth, please lift it up as in remove it and repeat that part, because this is the beauty of the fan. So when we are done with this part, we'll just trim it, and then we'll do the other part. But then let me just use this medium to say, if you are discovering creative ends for the first time, you are welcome to my platform. I am so grateful that God led you to find me today. It's not by mistake that you find me online today. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also recommend us to other people, please. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead. I also want to encourage you, please stay with this video. Every part of this video is important. The part that I know I don't need to stress, I will fast forward it for you. I'm not going to waste your data. So to do the second part, we are going to repeat the same process. That is, we put the organza on it and then cut out our circle, and then we go ahead and smoothen it. Okay, so after you do that again, you are now going to cut off the excessive material again. So this time, while I was doing it, I chose to use the method of applying it bit by bit, because I told you that you can do it in two different ways. That is the ones I know. So when you place it like this, you allow it to cool. Me, I'm using water to touch my hands, because when you are working with hot glue and you are not using water to touch your hands, the glue have a way of sticking so much to your hands that at the end of the day you feel disturbed by it. So I like to always touch water so that it will not stick so much to my hands. All right, so now it's cold. We are going to go ahead, apply bit by bit. I didn't cover the whole space at once. I started applying it bit by bit and then pull. When I pull, I will hold it, allow it to dry. I'm really laying emphasis on this particular aspect, because if you are not careful, you will do it and you find out that your organza is not smooth, is squeezed, is galloping, that is having potholes, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be flawless, and that's why you just have to pay very good attention to this particular process. Once we are done with this process and you get your organza sitting properly the way it ought to, you already achieve 80% of the fan. Is the truth too? Yes, because at the end you just have to go ahead with your designs. But then there's still something I want to show to you, so please still stay on. Do not fast forward, because I find out that once you are on YouTube and you try to fast forward, you might just skip a major part without you knowing, and then you will now come back to my comment section and start asking me questions, and I actually handled that particular question in the video. So please watch carefully. Knowledge is expensive. All right, so don't allow your data to be a problem. Watch carefully, please. So we are going to continue with the fixing of, or the sitting of, the organza. So once we are done, we will trim, and then when we trim, I will go ahead to show you the very first step you are supposed to take in the design, so that you can really achieve your desired goal. Like I said before, I said this particular fan, if properly designed, is very expensive. Yeah, but if it's just the design is just a casual one, well, it's not too expensive because you might not really need much, or you might not really spend much in doing it. But if you are doing, those rich anti vibe design, this fan is expensive. All right, so I am done sitting the second part of the organza. So right now we have both sides of the fan covered and properly covered for that matter. So we go ahead and trim off. We trim off the excess organza, and we are done with the first step of this fan. Remember I said you can find the skeleton in the market. Where in the market? Maybe places where they sell bridal accessories. All right, you will find it there, places where they sell bridal accessories, because they are the ones that are selling all the accessories you need to create this fan. Just ask them that you have that opened circle skeleton for handfan. Those that have it will, even if they say they don't have, ask them, please can you show me anybody that is selling. Okay, so we are going to place this trimming on it, but the pattern or position you place is your choice. You saw that the first position I chose was like using the crown to face outside, but then I saw that when you use the crown to face inside, it will give you the best result. Now, very importantly, you are supposed to cover this particular edge before you go ahead with any other design for this handfan. So for me, I chose to work with a green trimming, but you can work with gold though. But I chose to work with green because the organza I'm working with is green, and so I just want to like do a little bit of the green so that the green will be well defined as well. So when you are covering this place, I don't know how your organza will look, but then while I was covering mine, I doubled it. The reason I did the doubling was because it looks like the skeleton is a little bit transparent after the first covering, so I had to double it up to ensure that the plyboard or the skeleton is totally covered. So that was why I had to double my trimming. All right, so if you don't want to double yours, it's okay. Then after this, we will now go ahead. The next thing is how to cover the remaining part of the skeleton that is showing. Now mind you, you can also work with feathers on this handfan. You can work with feathers on this handfan. So after you cover it like this, instead of using trimming on this aspect of the board that you are seeing, instead of using trimming, you will not use trimming, you will use feathers. At least 2 layers of feathers if you want it thick. You understand? That is, you go round with your feather twice, it will contain it. It can go round on top of each other twice, then before you now put your trimming on both sides, and your fan will come out very well. You can spell on the middle after using you can spell on the middle after you are done with your applying your feathers. You can actually put your alphabet on the transparent middle. It's still a very good creative design if you choose to use feathers on it, but the purpose I'm not using feathers on it because what is trending right now is that it is actually done plain like this without any feather. That's why I'm doing it like this. But if you want to get creative and innovative, try the feathers. You will love it. It comes out very well. You can use dog feathers, you can use the regular handfan feathers. Whichever one you are using, just ensure that your placement do not go above the available circle of the plank or the plyboard, please. Okay, so we cover, and we are going to cover both sides. Then I will now go ahead with my explanation of why I said it can be very expensive. Now, most times this particular feathers fan, they are covered with stones. They are covered with stones. They are covered with fringe. You know, the fringe we use for fascinators, those fringe we use for fabric, like the fringe you are seeing in my hand now. You know, this fringe has different length and different quality. So a lot of creators work with different fringe on this fan, and of course you know the price of fringe. I guess you too, that you know that fringes are very expensive. This one is even a short one, and it's quite expensive, not to talk of the long ones, you understand. And then when you now go ahead to use those expensive stones, okay, which you can just like spread all around the surface, you know, it adds beauty. For instance, if I'm spreading red or green stones instead of what I am using, and now I'm using patches on it. But then if actually I'm doing a job for a very rich vibe auntie, I would like to go ahead and use my stones. I'll use green stones, maybe mixed with gold, you know, to give it some kind of reflections, both big and small. I will add my fringes to it, you understand, on just add the long fringe to it, you know. Every form of thing that will make it stand out and gorgeous, I'm going to add to it. And by the time you are doing that, the cost of the fan would have, boom, gone up. All right, but if you are doing something very casual like this, the fan is not expensive. What I just did now, this fan can sell for as low as, let's say, 5,000, except for the spelling, because if you do not have the spelling, we know that the spelling is expensive. That is the alphabet. But if you have alphabet, then it's not too expensive. But if you do not have, you know, to buy a pack of alphabet is between 3,000 naira to like 3,500. I'm not really sure, because I have some in my shop, so I've not gone to buy recently. Okay, so this is what I just did, and this is the finishing for me. I'm not adding the fringe. I told you I'm not making it for anybody, and because I'm not making it for anybody, I'm not ready to add my fringe. I will use my fringe for fascinators, so I'm not going to add it. But if you add your fringe, this how it will look. After you glue it, you just trim off the net that is on it. Use your what they call it now, oh, I've forgotten the name, I beg. This hot thing we use to trim, just use it to trim it, and it will be perfect. Okay, so that is all for today's video. I will see you in my next video. Do have a nice day. Bye for now.